You see, there are buildings that for you to renovate, it will cost you much more than for you to rebuild it completely. There are factors that you need to consider.
Welcome to Conversation with the Billionaire Builder. Don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, and like.
A client once asked me that, sir, when is the best time for you to build or renovate? Because obviously it's like he had a building that he doesn't know whether to pull it down and rebuild it completely or whether to do some maintenance work on it or refix it, renovate it. So I told him the decision is not something that you just jump into because there are factors that you need to consider to know whether to go for outright rebuilding, that is pulling down the house and then rebuilding it or redesigning it or rebuilding it from the scratch, or to consider the option of just renovating it. You get. So there are factors that you need to look into, and one of them is you need to compare the cost of the complete demolition and rebuilding to what it will cost you if you are just going to do normal renovation work. And for example, you see, there are buildings that for you to renovate, it will cost you much more than for you to rebuild it completely. I know you might be saying, wow, how is that possible? Now, don't get me wrong. You see, and there are some things that becomes very difficult for you to maintain. And in a situation like that, you going or opting for renovation, it will take you more time. It can result in repeated work. That is, you do it today, in a very short time, you still have to come and do it again. But when you rebuild completely, you may have to do away with some things completely. So you need to compare the cost. Which one is really going to be cheaper for me? And then also another factor that you need to consider is the factor of assessing the condition of the building. What do I mean by that? You see, you need to know that, okay, is the core structural elements of a building still intact? Now, if the core structural element of a building is still intact, you might decide to just opt for renovation. But if those core elements, the core structural elements of a building, is no longer good to serve the purpose for which the building is meant, the option of rebuilding becomes more effective, because in that case, those core structural elements will have to be rebuilt so that the building will be able to serve the purpose for which it is intended in the first place. Now, another reason that you need to consider is the heritage or history. You see, some buildings serve different purposes. So there are buildings that are preserved just to preserve culture or heritage. Now, in such a situation, if you rebuild it, it becomes, you might not be able to preserve the structural, the heritage element in such projects. For example, in Kano, there is this wall of Kano. There is this ancient walls. Now, such walls are not, when you demolish it, I now turn the mud because they were built by red bricks or red mud. Now, those kind of structures, if you break it down and now you now convert it to cement and concrete, the cultural heritage that it serves is no longer preserved. Now, when the younger generation come, what they will see will now be different. You might not be able to tell the story that comes along with those kind of structures. So those kind of structures are better preserved culturally. Now, you can do some renovation work on them, bearing in mind that you need to preserve the cultural heritage that they stand for. So there are different conditions that we need to consider before we now decide which one should I go for. Also, there is the purpose, okay, like the future value of the project or of the property. Now, what does that mean? There are things that a particular building is built or constructed to serve. Now, if we are going to renovate, will it still be able to serve that purpose? Or if we are going to rebuild it, will it still be able to serve that particular purpose? So there are things that you need to consider. It's not just something that you jump into.